Hey guys, it's skyguy98 here. Now, I'm doing a little bit of a different video today. I am somebody who's on the internet a lot, and maybe not all of you can relate to that, but if you can, and even if you can't, I'll explain to you. When you're on the internet a lot, you come across a lot of different people, and a lot of those people are going to have different views, different ideologies, and sort of different politics than you, but I've always been pretty okay just being a friendly person to everybody and giving everybody their chance to speak. And even if I don't agree with everything somebody has to say, I can find something that I can get along with them with. But um, sometimes you come across somebody who is so at opposite ends with you and just so your like complete rival almost ideological rival that there's no way that you can connect with them, and there's nothing you can do but just hate them really and just expose their follies. And just it's like almost inexcusable how stupid they are, and you can't find any nice way of saying it to them, so you just have to make fun of them instead. That's really the only way to cope with it. So now that I've said that, what I'm going to be talking about in this video is a blog I came across run by one of these people. Her name is shonagon. She's Japanese, and from what I gather, she's some sort of radical feminist, and her blog is absolute drivel, disgusting bullshit, not true, none of it. It's just, and it's painful to read, but I'm going to, for your benefit and for my own benefit, because together we can sort of analyze through her words and I guess point out where she's wrong, and hopefully the world is going to be a better place if we do that. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the first blog post that I selected. It's called Things That Give a Pleasant Feeling, and there's some pretty atrocious stuff in this, so let's dig in. A set of well-executed pictures of women accompanied by interesting text. So, right from the outset, we can see she's very insistent on letting us know that she loves women and that we should too, and that they're interesting, of course. The return journey from a festival with a large number of escorts in attendance, the costumes of the woman passengers spill out at the sides of the carriages, and thanks to the skill of the ox drivers, the carriages run smoothly along the road. I'm guessing that the ox drivers are women as well. On a pretty sheet of white Michinoku paper, someone has written a letter with a brush that would not seem capable of making such delicate strokes. And just talking herself up. The sight of a boat as it glides downstream, that's some freaky sexual innuendo. I don't even want to think about that. Well blackened teeth. See above. To throw equal numbers repeatedly in a game of dice. So say you're using some kind of black magic, because that's statistically impossible. Fine strands of silk that have been entwined, that's a metaphor for lesbianism. A skilled master of divination performs a purification service on a riverbank. Oh, you know the words divination and purification. She's real intelligent. We should listen to her. All her words are true because she knows big ones. A drink of water when one wakes up at night. I mean, why does it have to be when you wake up at night? Why can't it be in the middle of a day? Why can't it just be a drink of water, you dumb bitch? One is in a rather bored mood when a visitor arrives, a man with whom one's relations are neither too intimate nor too distant. I guess that's like a boy toy or a friend with benefits in this case. He tells one what has been happening in society, things pleasant and disagreeable and strange, moving from one topic to another. He discusses matters both public and private, and all in so clear a fashion that there's no possibility of misunderstanding. This gives one a pleasant feeling, a very pleasant feeling. Okay. One has visited a shrine or a temple with the request that certain prayers be said on one's behalf. What a pleasure to hear the ritualist or priest intone them in a better voice or more fluently than one had expected. So she goes into things expecting them to be bad. This is the kind of mindset we're dealing with. This is a person who's going to be easily provoked and easily upset, and they're going to take to online to express those dissatisfied feelings. And we're going to be seeing much more of that coming up. Here's the second blog post I selected. When I make myself imagine, okay? Right off the bat, she thinks she's fucking John Lennon. I don't think so. When I make myself imagine what it is like to be one of those women who live at home faithfully serving their husbands, women who have not a single exciting prospect in life yet, who believe that they are perfectly happy, I'm filled with scorn. Often they are of quite good birth, yet have had no opportunity to find out what the world is like. I wish they could live for a while in our society, even if it should mean taking service as attendants, so that they might come to know the delights it has to offer. You know, it sounds like she's being reasonable for a second, but then you realize she's exaggerating things. Woman, I mean, if you want to see what your prospects in life are, you can do that. There's nothing stopping you. There's no barrier. You don't have to be of just good birth. You just got to work towards it. You might have to be an attendant, but so do men. I mean, I don't really get what she's looking at here. She's creating a dichotomy that's not there. I cannot bear men. I'm just gonna stop there. It's pointless reading the rest of that paragraph. It's gonna be trash. I mean, I cannot bear people who start sentences with such sweeping, broad generalizations as that. I cannot bear men. Are you fucking serious? Do you really think that you cannot bear a single man? There's not one guy out there who maybe just maybe you can bear. I mean, that's so ridiculous. Broad strokes. Let's move on. There's the third post that I felt like sharing with you guys. A preacher out to be good looking. Oh my god, I'm about to read this shit. A preacher out to be good looking. For if we are properly to understand his worthy sentiments, we must keep our eyes on him while he speaks. Should we look away, we may forget to listen. Accordingly, an ugly preacher may well be the source of sin. Did you just hear that? She literally just said that ugly people who have something to say are the source of sin, source of amorality, I guess is what she's going for. Well, I mean, I don't see you posting any pictures of yourself on this site, so for all I know, all this shit coming from your mouth, all this shit you're preaching is a source of sin as well. You gotta prove to me that what you're saying is legit. You better be good looking. And I doubt you are. I bet you got short hair. I mean, are you really that shallow that you have to judge the merits of what someone is saying on their facial structure or their hair color or some shit like that, some surface level, superficial quality? I mean, come on. FDR had polio, and he was a pretty good preacher. He preached the United States into a great era, and he had polio. All right, let's move on to the fluff pieces. Things that lose by being painted. I got a little too optimistic there. Pinks, cherry blossoms, yellow roses, men or women who are praised in romances as being beautiful. So, I mean, this is one of those deals where she's just taking like traditionally girly things, such as the color pink and cherry blossoms and yellow, and she's saying, no, you're gonna lose that by being painted because that's a stereotype. It's not feminine. You're gonna lose by being painted. Things that gain by being painted: pines, autumn fields, mountain villages and paths, cranes and deer, a very cold winter scene, an unspeakably hot summer scene. Now she's going for the outdoorsy rough man type. She's trying to appropriate that sort of culture and say, no, this is what the women are doing now. This is what is going to be gained by being painted, whatever that might mean. She's hiding behind some bizarre rhetoric here. I mean, what I can get from this, just glossing over it, is she's trying to turn stereotypes on their head, and she's really failing miserably. These are just feel-good sentences that people can reblog and then pat themselves on the back and suck off a baby goat and feel like they're helping the world. It's bullshit, really. This next one, this last fluff piece is maybe the worst. Things without merit. An ugly person with a bad character. Okay, whatever. Nice starch that has become mixed with water. I know that this is a very vulgar item and everyone will dislike my mentioning it, but that should not stop me. In fact, I must feel free to include anything, even tongs used for the parting fires. After all, these objects do exist in our world and people all know about them. I admit they do not belong to a list that others will see, but I never thought that these notes would be read by anyone else, and so I included everything that came into my head, however strange or unpleasant. So basically what she's saying is, oh, by the way, I gotta be politically correct about mixing fucking rice starch with water. I don't know if you got the memo, say, but you're supposed to put the trigger warning before the trigger. So imagine all those people you just fucking scarred. You gave them PTSD flashbacks because you did your little politically correct bit after the offensive bit itself. I mean, do you even think when you post this shit? I don't think you do. I really don't think you do. And since when is rice with water offensive? What does this like world come to where do you really think that one in a million people who are going to be offended by rice with water need to be forewarned that you're about to mention it? It's just this attitude of bullshit policing that I can't stand it. Okay, next up is her diatribe of sorts called Hateful Things. Now this one goes on for a while and it's quite ridiculous. The only hateful thing I see in here is the post itself, really. But because of its length and because a lot of it is just it's her repeating herself again and again, I've made a few selections, some of the worst ones, and I will just do a quick comment on those instead of reading through this bullshit, this absolute drivel. I hate the sight of men in their cups who shout, poke their fingers in their mouths, stroke their beards, and pass on the wine to their neighbors with great cries of "Have some more, drink up!" They tremble, shake their heads, twist their faces, and gesticulate like children who are singing, "We're off to see the governor." I have seen really well-bred people behave like this, and I find it most distasteful. Well, nobody fucking asked you what you find distasteful. Maybe a guy wants to have fun. Maybe he wants to stroke his beard. If you had a beard, you'd probably fucking stroke it, you dumb bitch. I mean, really, who do you think you are? If you're at that table and people are having a good time and you think it's distasteful, I mean, you can leave. Nobody's making you sit there. I don't know who you think you are to say that my behavior is correct, okay? And you should be the one in charge. I mean, have you ever had fun in your life once? I don't think you have. Here's the second one I decided to outline. A man with whom one is having an affair keeps singing the praises of some woman he used to know. Even if it is a thing of the past, this can be very annoying. How much more so if he is still seeing the woman? Yes, sometimes I find that it is not as unpleasant as all that. Say, if you're gonna be actively going after douchebags who engage in affairs, don't be surprised when they do some douchebaggy stuff. I mean, that's like it's lesson 101, numero uno in dating. Don't go after the douchebag guys. I mean, yeah, they're gonna let you down. And last one I want to look at is this little one right here. Sometimes one greatly dislikes a person for no particular reason, and then that person goes and does something hateful. This is bollocks. You're just looking to be offended. You're going out of your way to be offended by something at this point. I mean, you even admitted it. a person you dislike for no particular reason. Like, why don't you like them? I'm gonna ask you, say, why don't you like that person? And you're gonna tell me, I don't know, just no particular reason, but they did something hateful. I am offended. I am gonna write long blog posts, and I'm even gonna give my blog posts footnotes because that's how much of a pretentious piece of shit I am, who thinks that their words are worth anything in the modern day and age, and they're not. They really aren't. And you know, I want to do one quick one. It's a little more subtle, but I'll wrap up on this one because I'm starting to get physically sick from reading her words. I can feel my heart rate increasing. I can feel my head sort of beating against the chamber of my skull, and my teeth are starting to feel rotten, and my gastrointestinal health is declining as we speak. So I want to do this one real quick. And like I said, it's a little more subtle, but I'm going to explain what she's going for here. This one's called I Hate Seeing a Dusty, Dirty-Looking Inkstone. I hate seeing a dusty, dirty-looking inkstone with an inkstick that has been used in a slovenly way so that it is rubbed down on only one side. It also makes an unpleasant impression if someone puts a cap on a writing brush whose head has become large and shaggy. One can judge a woman's nature by looking at her mirror, her inkstone, or any other belongings of this kind. Nothing gives such a neglected impression as an inlaid inkstone case when dust has collected in cracks at the corners. It is even more important for a man to keep his writing table in perfect order. If his inkstone is not made in several tiers, it should have two fitted boxes, and its gold lacquer design should be attractive without looking contrived. His inkstick, brush, and other equipment should all be chosen to attract attention. That last paragraph is, she's literally policing men's behavior and saying, this is how your things need to be kept. But the real kicker here, I'm going to open up with a quick anecdote that my buddy told me, and then tie it into this so you can see what I'm saying. My buddy told me that he read an article written by a feminist critical of the patriarchy or whatever bullshit term they're using nowadays. That might have blown over. It might be something else now. Maybe the menarchy or the evil men unit. I don't know. Anyways, is this feminist who wrote an article about how she started to use the word dyke to describe herself instead of lesbian. And her reasoning for that is because the word lesbian is too white. She felt that it had been attached to lesbian as a concept is attached to white culture, and white culture is oppressive, and she can't call herself something that oppresses her, so she started calling herself a dyke instead. So if you ever see this woman and you say, hey, are you a lesbian, she'll tell you, no, I'm a dyke, thank you very much, please respect my pronouns. That's ridiculous, and it goes to show the sort of semantics we have on terminology now, and being scared to offend and feeling that we're all special snowflakes, and this is the term that I choose, and you need to call me this, or else I'm gonna call the sensitivity police. But anyways, it's also just pretentious. Say that you're a dyke, but you're not a lesbian. Like you can be both for all I care, dykey. But the reason I bring this up is because Say is doing something similar in this piece, and it's very sneaky. She's referring to her computer as an inkstone. She's referring to her ink stick as her fucking fingers tapping away on the keyboard. Why she's doing this is anybody's guess. But from my view, from what I understand, she just thinks she's better than us. And maybe she thinks those terms are too white. Maybe when she's updating her blog on her iPhone, she refuses to say, hey, my iPhone is a little dirty looking, and I hate seeing that. I mean, maybe she says, oh, it's my Inkstone, it's not my iPhone, because iPhone is too white of a term. I don't want to be associated with white culture. It's an Inkstone. It's an Inkstone, just like my abuelita used. I mean, this is just madness. It's fucking madness, really. I don't even think she knows that iPhone is not at all indebted in white culture. I mean, Steve Jobs, he was Syrian. If you know anything about Syria, they've been shitting up good old white Britain for a while now. So you can use the term iPhone. You degenerate. I mean, it's not white. Certainly not. Just because white girls use it doesn't mean it's a white term. So I don't know where you think you're coming from saying Inkstone. Why don't you take your Inkstone and shove it up your ass? I mean, I can start calling these little rants I do. I can start calling them Inkstones, or I can start calling my voice an ink stick. We can all make up these terms and then live in a fluffy bubble polka dot world, but frankly, I'd rather live in a world where everybody knows what everything is and that's how it is, and nothing needs to be explained through pointless ramblings that mean nothing. And all you're doing, say, by writing these kind of backwards, regressive posts, is setting the world back 100 years. Each post, 100 years back, you're setting the world. You, single-handedly. And, I mean, I think it's ironic, really. It's really ironic. Because you're looking to see a better world, but all you're doing is actively making the world worse. I'm sorry, but there's nothing that we have in common, say. I don't foresee myself ever being friends with you. I don't foresee myself ever having an enjoyable conversation with you, and I don't foresee myself ever being interested in you or your life or your work or anything that you ever do. And I suggest that you just stop, because I'm not impressed. That's it. I'm gonna have to go to the toilet in a few minutes and puke, because I actually felt the urge to puke a few times doing that. Like, subscribe, comment for more, turn off your ad blocker, support my Patreon. Thanks, guys. Bye.